All right. Hello, guys, and good morning. Welcome to week 6 of Breakthrough Bootcamp. I cannot believe it's been 6 weeks since we've already started this. It has absolutely flown by, and it's just exciting to see so many people still on here, still engaged, still doing the work. So it's been pretty amazing to see. So for those who don't know me, my name is Michelle Bamba. I will be your host for today, giving Jamil a nice break, and to also have some incredible people that are going to be joining on and just really sharing lots of wisdom. So it's going to be an exciting hour. We're going to try and keep it on the hour, on the dot. So this is going to be fun. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. Lots of us already, we've been kind of going through these last 6 weeks. And the last 6 weeks, we've gone through everything as far as client acquisition, to client support, to, learning how using the I plus Q equals A equation really helps us identify who we want to bring on as coaching partners. And so today, we are going to be doing something amazing is we're going to be going over, can you see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up? Annika, I see you. Can you see my screen? No? Okay, let me try this again. Oh, goodness. All right, let's see. There we go. Can you guys see this now? Yes? Okay, awesome. Okay, so today we're going to be going over starting new coaches strong, keeping it fun and simple, you guys. So, as we start bringing on coaches and, a lot of us are brand new, we really want to keep it simple for them because, as we're still learning how to bring them on, we want to make sure that we support them correctly and getting all of that. So, we kind of left off last week on how to identify, qualify, approach, and invite someone to explore the opportunity of coaching and how it could be a fit in their life. So, when someone says yes, and now we have a coach, which is exciting, the most powerful thing that you can do is really set them up for success going step by step. So this week, we're really going to talk about, now that you've seen that you've gotten this far as a coach by using some of those building blocks, and everything is set up in a way that you're going to really take it from step to step and on to the next. Working with coaches just brings incredible joy, and I know it does for me. And so if you're just getting started, give it some time. It does take some practice. It's not always going to be perfect, and that's why you really have a support team that's really going to help guide you every step of the way. They're going to come alongside you and support you with some of those things. So starting off coach is strong and simple, keeping it fun. And sometimes, we make it challenging, we make it stressful. And if that's your mindset coming in today and, maybe it hasn't been fun for you, or maybe it hasn't been that simple sometimes, you're gonna be just fine, I promise. Because, we're in that people business, you guys. It's gonna take some time and it's gonna take some consistency. So I really wanted to include this slide because a lot of us, as we start bringing on, cancel. Sorry about that. As we start bringing on coaches, sometimes we forget to get them to dream. We get really excited that we're bringing someone on. We're super excited thinking that they're going to do so amazing. They have such a big sphere of friends and this and that. But, really behind everything of what we do is to keep someone engaged. You really want to get them to start dreaming. And so, a lot of it is what we do as coaches is we offer hope to people and we get them to dream. Just like when we get them to dream as clients of what they're going to look like, when they get to their weight goal, we want to do the same with coaches. Dreaming is such an important part of coaching. When you get them connected to their why, a coach can become fully engaged to make their dreams a reality. So, ask what goals they have, get them to dream what the next 2-3 years will look like and what they want it to look like for them. It might have been a while since they've started dreaming or they've dreamed about what a good life would be, and what their life would look like. So that's one thing that you guys really, really want to get good at is asking those questions and asking them, the first thing is getting them to dream again. Okay, so I really wanted to include the significance of this skill. So I was watching a training by Becca Tinter, and she used this analogy, and I absolutely loved it because it really comes hand in hand into what we do. So I really wanted to share, share the powerfulness of this story. It is a shorter version because the value does tie into what we do. So this is a story about three bricklayers. So one person walked up to these three bricklayers and asked, the first one, what are you doing? The first man says, I'm laying bricks. He kept it simple. He talked about the process. And then he goes to the second man and says, what are you doing? And the second man says, I'm building a wall. He can see where the bricks are going. He can see that it's forming a structure and it's creating something, even though that something isn't quite interesting yet. And then he goes to the third man and says, what are you doing? And the man says, I'm creating a cathedral. And even though he was just laying the bricks and he was building a wall, he was actually creating a cathedral. So what's so great about this story is that you talk about creating a process. You go from being simple to complex. You go from a lack of knowledge to knowledge. And this is really a visionary talk. Because simply, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a bricklayer? Do you want to be a wall builder? Or do you want to be a cathedral creator? The idea of this is to want to create something bigger, which is building a team of coaches to work alongside you to have this beautiful part with Optivia. And then you really have to start at the beginning. It's not something you just zoom on by. You start at the beginning because when you become really good at layering those bricks down, then you're going to be building that wall, and then you're going to be good at creating a cathedral. So this really gives you that vision of coaching because you want to keep it simple, laying down the foundation and the system from a coach or for a coach. And then from there, you want to start building them up like the man who's building a wall. And then you're going to be layering one brick at a time, and it's really going to start to form something great, but it's still going to need some work to give them what they need to succeed. So really going step by step, and really before you know it, you've layered out the subsystem for them. You've supported them step by step, and now they have all the tools that they need to succeed and build that cathedral. So when you talk about, when you talk about, I know we've seen this a lot, but it's really goes hand in hand in what we do. When you talk about, I want to start coaches, but I need the right formula for it. Well, here you go. This is the formula, because there is no magic formula when it comes to coaching, but there is a system. And with that system, there's a lot of structure and there's a lot of skill sets that are built in, but there's never going to be a perfect formula. It's really more of a mindset. So if your mindset is shifting, then it becomes a skill set. And so the magic formula, and you hear this a lot, and it's really true, the magic formula is really mindset plus skill set plus action equals success. So as you'll see, and we'll kind of go into this, as well, is really laying down those steps and going through the system is how you're going to help your coaches succeed. So, these are the challenges of not working alongside your coaches. Guys, this is really a relational business. You have to have a meter. And what I mean by that is that, you want to look at it as like, say you're watering your plants and you have a meter to water your plants. And so you want to make sure that you're feeding them and watering them just enough, because if you water them too much, you're obviously going to overwater them and they're going to drown and they're going to die. But if you don't water them enough, they're going to die. So you want to make sure, you kind of look at this almost as a coach, is you want to make sure that you want to be feeding them just the right amount to keep them going. Because if you give them way too much, it's going to be very overwhelming from them. So you really want to see, and obviously we come in and we don't know where our coaches are at. Maybe you may have some coaches that you bring on that are just like spitfire. They know what they're doing. They, all of a sudden they're ED in a few weeks and you think that, oh, they're good, I can walk away. They know what they're doing. And then you have coaches that come along that may need you to, hold their hand every step of the way. And both of those are okay to have, but you really want to work step by step. Even the ones that are shooting to ED, in a couple of weeks and you think they're okay, just because they shot to ET doesn't mean they know the step-by-step, and you want to make sure that you duplicate that with them. And so, being that, you look at them almost like a meter, like where do they need help, whether that be checking in every day, there might be some maybe checking every single week, but, looking at them on the meter and seeing, okay, well, I want to give them the right amount of information step by step, so that I don't overwater it. But then obviously I don't want to underwater them either. So, looking at this is really the relational business that we have. Challenges of not working alongside your coaching or your coaches. Oversharing, and oversharing could be a big one. And it's not necessarily they're sharing too much. They may just not know, what is enough to say, or even when to say it or how to say it. So that's a really big one why we want to work alongside them, is because we want to get them comfortable in what to say to people, how much to say, knowing that, we have that health assessment, and even, obviously how having to say it. Not enough candidates. And that doesn't necessarily mean they don't have enough people, but maybe sometimes they feel like they don't have enough people. A lot of coaches come in, I know I was one of them, come in thinking, I don't know that many people. I didn't think that anyone would want to do this. And so we really want to work with them knowing that how we're going to build that up and how we're going to start the conversations with people, because a lot of people come in thinking they just don't have enough candidates. They learn to ask, or failing to ask the art of, or the failing to have the art of asking questions. And what I mean by that is, they learn to ask, maybe they just don't know how to ask, a lot of open-ended questionings and awakening questionings, to find out what someone is looking for. They might speed through a health assessment, and they may not be inviting someone to join them if maybe they just don't know how to. And so something that we want to teach them is the art of asking those questions, of, asking those awakening questions to see what someone's looking for, and to see if, even having, having the skill to ask them to join them at the end of a health assessment. That's all skills to have. And so it's something that we want to stay close connected with them to teach them as well. They potentially will not share the full trilogy right outside of the gate, which was one of the best parts that we give through Optavia, is sharing the full trilogy. And maybe they're not good at that yet. So, and especially if they're not learning and they're not working alongside you. Clients will potentially start alone. We know that happens as well. And they're not really set up for success either. And then really just making things too complicated. And when we know, we have the system, it is simple A, B, C, and so on. And so these are the reasons why you really want to work alongside them, regardless of where they're at, whether they shot to ED in 2 weeks, or, maybe they're still a baby coach and they need their hands held. So you want to work close to them. And then why we start coach as well. So this looks a lot smaller than the list that I just shared, but it is incredibly powerful. It's really want to keep the relationship open and engaged, you guys, walking alongside them and really encouraging them to help them thrive. It gives them the vision of our mission, as we know, and how you really coach them will really set them up for duplication as they bring on coaches. So coaching them well will give them the structure to keep it fun, to keep it simple, and become very easy to duplicate. And we want them to hit those milestones, and we want to celebrate them when they've reached senior coach, or when they've reached, ED, or even anything in between. We want to celebrate them, and one important thing is it really protects our reputation and our offer, because really nothing else hurts more than someone who, a coach that may have come in and they don't engage in the system and they aren't trained really well, then, they're going to start spreading what is not a healthy way to look at our business, because it didn't work for them. But that's because they also didn't have the tools to help them succeed. We really don't want them sharing the opposite of what Optavia really truly stands for and really offers to people. So it's very important to not just start off a coach, but really hold their hand every step of the way. When Josh and I, bring on coaches, we hold their hand every step of the way. We help them get to senior coach. We help them go ED, and so And you really want to fall in love with the process of it too. You know, something that's really powerful is when you fall in love with the process, you become good at it. So falling in love with the process of giving those tools for a coach to hit senior coach, falling in love with the process of giving those tools to help a coach go ED, to go FIBIC. So when you fall in love with the process of everything that this offers and how we're going to replicate and duplicate that onto our coaches, you're going to get good at it. So while that you see why we start off, coaches well and really setting them up for success. Next, I want to bring on Integrated National Director Casey Abansky to go over the system. So Casey, my friend, are you there?
I am here. Thanks so much, Michelle. I appreciate you. That was such great information. I really love that. And just especially with what Michelle said with falling in love with the process, because that's what this is all about, guys, and definitely with duplication. So today I am going to talk with you guys about our system. And, Michelle talked about starting Coaches Strong, and this is how we start Coaches Strong. Just like with, our 5-in-1 and, whatever other program we've been doing, there's a system to it. So here's how we have our system with starting coaches. So you may start off, with the Coach Explore, and basically kind of help awaken a potential coach to what could be possible for them, and just really kind of, talk through what their goals are, what they want to see out of, coaching and what that could look like for them. And then really taking them through scheduling 1 or 2 assessments. And what's really important, guys, is making sure that they order their business kit before the first health assessment. Because really what happens is if they don't order the business kit and you have already scheduled and done some of the health assessments, really you're doing a lot of work on the front end without them actually making a decision. So by them ordering that business kit before the first health assessment's done, then it's them making that decision, and it's really going to make things a lot easier for you guys. Get into action right away and start the training calls. It's kind of like Don, I think, talked about yesterday when he was talking about the Coach Explore, be confident when we do health assessments. The same thing when you bring on a coach. Be confident in that and that you're going to help them. Let them know that. So really just supporting them and getting them into action right away. Go through the new coach welcome email. So sending that right away. I know Optavia, I believe, sends it now too, but if you send it, it's just an additional layer, making sure that they don't miss it, and just really kind of going through, okay, you're going to go ahead and start doing these action steps 1 through 3. And then, we're going to hop on a call where you're going to meet your support team and go from there and just really show you what's going to be possible for you. Even sending them the starting point recording, that's such a great tool. It's just an additional layer to make sure that they're hearing everything as far as what next steps would be, because it might be that they hear it a little bit differently than when they've heard it from you. So again, just an additional layer, an additional part of support and reinforcement. Setting up that meet and greet, and maybe doing that, via text or Facebook Messenger, whatever's easiest, but really, kind of going along with that system and getting that scheduled, typically within 24 hours. And then helping them start their first 1 to 2 clients when you start with the night before text all the way through week 1 and to that week 1 tip call or celebration call. And then assist your coach to find coaching partners right away. This is so important. So when they're making that list, also have them really think about who would be awesome partners. Who do you like? Who would you like to work with? And kind of identifying those partners. Again, key here is to reference that new coach welcome email often. So with the Coach Explore, when you go into this, these are some of the questions that you're going to, if you are the mentor coach, if not, you're going to hear your mentor coach ask the coach. And I'm only going to kind of go through this quickly because I know Dawn covered this and you guys have already watched that video, correct? That we posted. So if not, definitely go back and watch that because that was an amazing job that he did and great tips. So just with with the Coach Explore, it's give me a quick overview of your life. Tell me about your work, and what you do and family if we haven't met yet. What did you like about what you heard on the presentation? So that's something else, make sure that you send that trilogy presentation before you've scheduled that Coach Explore, and really kind of set it up that that's something that they're going to want to take a quick look at before you have this Explore call. How would coaching benefit you and your family? Getting them to really dream. And these are those open-ended questions that Michelle was talking about. So, just really seeing what is going to be helpful for them and their family. Is it helping them out with a car payment? Is it tuition for private school for their children? Whatever that may look like. And then how much time do you have to coach? Can you see yourself chatting with people about their health goals and checking in weekly? I like how we have that chatting, talking on the phone, really, because it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but it's very necessary for our business. Who would you love to help when you start coaching? And can you picture that and how fun it would be to assist them toward their own overall health? What else would you like to know about coaching? And then, of course, review team coaching. We basically, want them to understand that when they come in, they don't have to know it all. If we all kind of had that mindset when we started coaching, none of us would have started because you would have had to be perfect, right? And so none of us were perfect when we started. You don't have to know it all. We're going to support you. Your team's going to support you. Just get into action. So when they decide to join our mission, just like we welcome people within our client site, the same thing with our coaching family and our coaching site. So welcome them to this new broad community that they're going to be a part of. That's going to be so great and such a great support tool for them. And again, all about that community. And then, of course, starting that chat, if you haven't already done that, with your support team and introducing them. When they decide to join the mission, again, sending that welcome coach email, telling them, that they're going to want to go ahead and complete action steps 1 through 3, and joining the Agents of Transformation page on Facebook, but doing those action steps before you have the meet and greet. And really, with those action steps, one of them is this worksheet of really just kind of getting them to think about, why would they want to be a coach? What's going to be important to them? What would success look like in the next 3 months? What about 6 months or a year from now? So really getting them to dream beforehand, because that's going to help guide some of these questions for them to really kind of think about it before and see what could be possible. Then get prepared. The next step is for them to start a list of people who they want to share this with, not just for weight loss reasons. We also talk about who are some people that they just love, or just family members that maybe they just want to share this with, share the business opportunity, partner with, or, maybe their family members or friends or coworkers know someone who may benefit from this. So just helping them think through that list, and also letting them know that this list will continue to grow all throughout their coaching career. So then when you've started, or when you've scheduled the meet and greet, again, you've started that message chat with your potential, yourself, and your mentor. You're going to schedule that via Zoom. Within about 24 hours is ideally what we want to do. So within about a day. And, really reinforcing the fact that they get those action steps completed prior, and also just reinforcing that they want to make sure that they're setting aside some time where they can sit down, not that they're driving, so really just making sure that it's a time where you guys can all get kind of intimate and get to know each other, so that it's really going to get them started on the right foot. So if the sponsor is strong, you're going to kind of meet in their Zoom room. If not, if the new sponsor, if it's a new sponsor, then you're going to meet in the mentor's Zoom room. Okay, so just kind of gauge that. Introductions, the sponsor is going to introduce everyone on the Zoom, and then it's just going to be handed off to the lead. and the most senior leader will kind of lead that Zoom. And really what they're going to do is, if you haven't already done like that Coach Explore, then they're going to go through asking certain questions and really awakening them. If there was a Coach Explore done, maybe it was done the night before and the next day they made the decision and they got that coaching kit, then honestly, guys, use some discernment with this. This meet and greet may actually be brief because you probably already covered a lot of these questions on the Coach Explore call. So then it's just a matter of really getting them into action. So just again, use your discernment on that. If you feel like they maybe weren't quite awakened as much on that Coach Explore, or it's been a while, then go ahead and get into that meet and greet and then get them into action. But otherwise, that next call may actually just be the senior coach celebration. Hope that makes sense. All right. So the meet and greet, really what we're going to do is, asking them, who do they want to talk to first? Get those names yourself if you're like the sponsor coach or the, mentor team, and take notes on that. Asking that person, well, what would their health journey look like? And how would that enhance their life? How great would it be if they partnered with you to move their health forward? And then just basically saying that, we're going to talk to these people right away while simultaneously growing your list. Also on the meet and greet, you want to ask, what are their financial goals and dreams? Some people, they don't even realize that we get paid for this, which is awesome. Then they really have a heart to help people. But finding out a little bit more about, what type of income would make you smile. Okay, good to hear. So you're telling me maybe about, $300 could really help you. Well, what type of income would really blow your mind? $5,000 a month? All right, let's talk a little bit more about that and what that would look like. So really getting them to dream. Also with the meet and greet, working with them to create their story. This is so important. So asking them, where were you before you started this? Where were you before you found Optavia? How did you feel? How was your life before then? What drove you to start this, or what drove you to kind of join our community? How much have you lost if you've had, a weight loss? And how do you feel now and the freedoms you have since the weight loss? And what drove you to start coaching? How is your life different now? This eventually, guys, is going to be what is the bulk of your story. Now that I've been coaching for a little bit, a lot of my story is really focused on how coaching has benefited my life and how it's benefited my family's life and my team. So really, I don't talk about weight loss that much. I focus on that just for like maybe a brief second. It was awesome, but then I go on for how this has really changed my life. Oh, being a little slow. Hang tight, guys. Love technical difficulties. Okay, so inviting to a three-way call. This is the next step. So, let me make sure that, okay, this is it. Here we go. Meet and greet, scheduling the health assessments, and really just inviting these people to the three-way call. So we're going to explain the process of the three-way call. So who are you going to call? We're going to pick about 5 names off their list. Typically some people that they feel really comfortable with, like family members, close friends. Also those people who have really been asking and noticing. So let's include those names. How are you going to invite them to the call? Well, we're going to just basically put in their chat group that simple text and really just have them copy and paste it and send it off to these people right during the meet and greet. Okay, do the calls, and you're basically going to schedule this as they reply with you and your coach. And then kind of explain as far as when you do schedule these calls, we're going to have about maybe like 5 minutes afterwards where we're going to hop back on a call and just have a quick debrief, see what they learned, what they liked, and set up that next call. Okay. So when we are inviting to the three-way call. Your support team is really going to help, or you guys are going to give this to your potential coach or your new coach. Make it super simple for them. And basically it's just telling people, hey, especially this one is with a weight loss, telling them how much you've lost, and really saying that part of my next training is to get on a call and hear how my coach does the health assessment. Would you mind being one of those training calls? When do you have some time over the next day or so when we could hop on a call, and getting that scheduled? Another one is maybe somebody who, is just somebody really close and a family member. And again, just inviting to that practice call. What I also love, and again, you guys can find these, I'm not going to read them word for word. You can find these in Simple Systems or get with your mentor coach to be able to send these off. I think we also have a file in Structural Tension on this. If it's no weight loss, then you're going to be sending out another specific text. Maybe you just decided, or the new coach decided to start because they just wanted to help people and they don't really have, a weight loss story. So then this is the type of text that they would be sending. Again, it's all about really just posturing that they need help with these practice calls. Would these people that they're sending them to and inviting be willing to help them with the calls? So you're going to have these, your new coach send these texts out on the meet and greet while you're on there. The idea is to get these calls done as soon as possible. And, people are kind of looking for instant gratification. They want to be successful. So this really just kind of empowers your health coach and your new coach. And it's really just supporting them and holding their hand through this, and makes it super easy. By doing these calls ASAP, it's really going to prepare them for other avenues of sharing. So they're going to feel more confident by, when they're ready, going to Facebook or Instagram or social media, or doing, getting the word out maybe in person in other conversations. So with the meet and greet, just like Michelle said, we're going to do this all just in time, with that just in time process, so that they're not overwhelmed. So just layering those bricks, brick by brick, and giving it so that there's a strong foundation, so that, then we're going to be able to make sure that the skill is transferred. So when they start bringing on coaches, then that process has been duplicated and it's duplicatable. Okay. So see how quickly they want to get into action. You're going to set the course, but they're going to set the pace. So really kind of learn to read that. Your mentor coach will really kind of help you with that too. Find out how quickly they want to start their first 5 clients, and then really partner with them in what they want to do. This really shows community. It's the integration of mentorship. And again, it ensures that these skills are being transferred. And very important, schedule those debriefs. The goal is really to get them into action, doing the calls very quickly that day, if possible, and just kind of sets up, that coach to have that strong partnership with you and your team. And it just really kind of gives them confidence and makes them feel empowered. So I think that's what I have for today. Hope that was helpful for you guys.
That was awesome, Casey. Thank you so much for sharing all that amazing wisdom. I love it when you speak. So awesome. Did you guys learn a lot from that? Let's go ahead and move on. So I am really excited to bring on this next speaker who, she's just a phenomenal coach, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear her. So Miss Sabrina May, are you there, my friend?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right, let me share my screen. See if I can get it to work here. Okay, can you see my screen? Awesome. All right, so I'm going to be covering on-the-job training. I'm Sabrina May. I'm a certified health coach, and I'm excited to share this piece of the training with you today. So training calls are really supposed to be fun and easy and part of our successful business model. So we want to make it fun, simple, not complicated. Let the coach know I'll do them for you, and then you will do them. So we want this to be modeled as part of our successful business model. And sometimes coaches might do their own thing, and yeah, they might become competent on their own, but they'll actually do it faster by using the systems that we have in place and doing the training calls with us. So we want them to use those systems, make it easier to move forward faster. Doing these calls until competency meets competence, that really helps us identify when we know that that coach is ready to graduate. So it might be 2 calls, it might be 6 calls, but it really goes beyond that. And so the purpose of these training calls is really, the sooner they get started, the faster that competency is going to grow. It's okay if people on the practice calls don't say yes yet, but it's about transferring that competency to that new coach. So we start in that square of unconscious incompetence. So you're not aware of the skill or your lack of proficiency in this area as a new coach. We're really not aware of what we don't know that we don't know. So they might say, yeah, I want to coach, but I don't really know how to do it. So we then move into that conscious incompetence, where after 1 to 2 training calls, they really start to have that consciousness, and that competency is starting to begin. So we're aware of that skill, but not yet proficient. And they might say at this point, yeah, okay, I know how health assessment goes. I understand what the coach is saying, but there might identify gaps. And then they quickly learn to move to that third box, which is that conscious competence. So able to build that skill, but with a little bit of effort. They've been given an outline. They've been debriefed. They are transferring the skills after each call. Okay, thank you. Sorry. That's what happens when you have children. They've used those transferred skills after each call and start to realize that they really can do it. And but they might still need to look at that assessment and kind of go through those script questions that are on there. And they can still ask questions along the way. In this particular area, they're really getting ready to graduate and move on to doing assessments on their own. So the competence and the confidence are ready to be transferred. Then we move on to the unconscious competence, where many people fall here who've been doing assessments for many years. So I don't know if any of you have experienced that have been coaches for a few years, where you've experienced somebody you're out somewhere and somebody's like, oh, hey, can you hop on a call? And then you're like, I don't have an assessment in front of me. What am I going to do? And so you have to scramble to find something to write on. But yet you know the questions that you need to walk through during that assessment, and it's not stressful. So then you can just go and do the assessment while you're there, and then you can transfer that information to the assessment later. So that's where you're in that unconscious competence area. And it's important to walk through the coach along the way and go through these different areas. So the structure of the training calls begins with the mentor edifying the new coach on each call. We want to build that confidence and the trust with that person on the phone that's a potential client. So we don't want to look like we are the superstar and that they are insignificant. We want, even if the coach doesn't have any clients, we want to make sure that that person doesn't even know that. And so we really want to edify that coach. Maybe it's how they've done the program. And we want to look like we're not the only person that can assist them. We are going to work with that coach. So it might be something like, I'm really honored to be here and be on this call. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm just here because I'm able to assist this coach with the call. You're in great hands, and we're going to do this together. I'm really excited to hear about your goals. Then we really model 3 different steps in sharing an assessment. The reason why we do this together is to transfer those skills. The health assessments are really set up to be very structured. So you can look at a health assessment and see that there's actually scripts within that they can follow as well as they're learning. So we want in the health assessment, we really want to find out the why before we explain the how. So we ask questions to awaken, which really makes us stand out more than any other program. We don't really want to just sell something. We want to have a conversation to determine what is in the best interest of that person on the phone. And then we want to share. So we want to go into just enough of the 3 phases and the 4 components. So just to show what that baseline is of what our program is about. We don't want to give every detail of the program. Some people may not share enough, and that's kind of the purpose of the debrief and the purpose of having us as part of that call, is so that we can help them understand what questions that they do need to ask to get more detail. And then other people may focus on a single outlier that maybe came up in that conversation, and where they hear the mentor ask for more detail, and then that new coach ends up modeling that through every call, rather than really differentiate if that is even needed. So for example, maybe somebody has diabetes and we go into, the details about their diabetes, if they're on medication, the blood sugar, that kind of thing, or maybe a food allergy. And so we really want to, in the debrief, talk about why we went into that detail and why it would be different than just a basic call, so that we can really help the client understand making that quality decision. The next step is that we invite. So if we skip this part, then we're really going to miss the best part of the assessment. It's easy to wrap it up in just 2 statements and a question. So it may go, I hear what you want to accomplish. I know you want to be running around with your kids and playing catch and being able to go hiking more often without getting winded. I know that we can help you. Are you ready to get started? It's that simple. It doesn't need to be long or awkward. Sometimes if you see people walking out of a room and they're talking about, oh my gosh, that was so awesome to hear this presentation. Doesn't it feel a little awkward that you weren't invited to that when they're asking you, hey, what do you think about that? So in this situation, we want to make sure that we are asking them and inviting them, are you ready? Then, because we may have new coaches that are great at those awaken and those shares, and they're ready to say, I can do this, but they need to learn that inviting phase, because they could have people sitting there waiting and they're ready to get started, but they haven't been invited. So that's a really important step in the health assessment training. So the next step would be to debrief quickly. So like Casey mentioned, it's going to be 5, probably no more than like 10 minutes. We're going to ask what went well during that call, what would we change, and then go over any questions. So ask about, why I did something the way I did, or maybe did they hear the follow-up questions that I asked because maybe the person didn't give enough detail and I wanted to know more. So really getting to understand those extra questions that can be asked during those calls that can kind of get more into their why. We also want to make sure that what we taught got caught. And so that's really just building that skill set and making sure that that competency is being built before we move on to the next phase. This could be in a few training calls, and we want to make sure that it's not fuzzy for the coach and that we want to be able to teach them to think strategically and think smart. Then if the person is ready, the client, then we will get them started. Otherwise, we would go through the follow-up system with the new coach and talk about the binder and the follow-up dates and that structure. So coach fat burn, what that looks like is training calls. So we go through about 3 to 6 training calls until the confidence is built and the competency is built. We debrief after each of those calls. We do it for them, alongside them, and we listen to them. The ongoing support, so we decide on a timing for the social media launch. And this is where we show them how to do it effectively and we confirm. So it's really essential that we walk them through that process. And some people, they're already sharing their journey. And so they've got people ready to sign up or ready to talk about it right out of the gate. So we may want to focus on training them on the assessments first before any social media training is brought into their system. We don't want them to get overwhelmed. So others may be a little bit slower with their momentum of setting up calls. So we might ask them, why don't you do a softer social media launch and put some non-skill victories about what your health is improving, and just letting people know that you've been changing and what that means to your life. So then you can gather potential assessments. And then we just do this with flexibility and discernment. Then with training, we let them know about other trainings to plan to attend and ask them to put it on their calendar. So we want to build that structure again. So for example, the Monday leadership webinar and any other team meetings, this gives you an example of what that looks like. So you've got the Dr. A call, the weekly team training, and Wednesdays we have the client support and habits of health call, as well as boot camps that come up on Saturdays. So we really want to teach them the system, and that is, going through the health assessment, ordering. We send them a video on how to do this. We show them that there's a system in place and how to order for a new client. We look at the back of the health assessment. There's check boxes there to make sure that nothing is missed. We go through the journey kickoff with them. So we have them send a link to the client and have them watch a video before we talk to them. And then we hop on the call together. So we want to be on there with them, with the client, and walk through that journey kickoff. And that takes about 10 minutes. It shouldn't take any longer than that. We assist them to get the client to fat burn daily. So we're there with them probably days 3 or 4, but if it needs to be longer, then we stick with them as well. And then we teach them about supporting clients on a weekly basis. So we set up that celebration call at week 1. We walk through building that structure of having a coaching day or splitting their coaching support days so they can have their check-in calls. So this is just showing you that health assessment. You've got the front and the back. You're going to be walking mostly through the front when you're training them and asking the client questions. And then there's those checklists on the back. So you're confirming that those skills have been transferred before you hand that off. So some vital questions to ask in this whole process that we've all talked about today is my coach ready to hear this? So, Casey mentioned that just-in-time training. So we don't want it to be just in case. We don't want to dump on our new coaches because we really want them to get what they need when they need it and to learn those skills so that that skill set has been transferred and we're confirming that. We're focusing on 1 to 2 steps at a time. So I'm going to go back to the story about the bricklayer. And I love this story because of just how it applies to so many things in life. So Michelle and Casey both mentioned it. We have the bricklayer putting one brick on top of the other. That's learning the skills to do a quality share. You're learning 1 step at a time. You're getting that just-in-time training. We're building that wall, the foundation of the skills, and we're putting it all together. We're gaining that competency and knowledge. We're using the system that is in place. We're not trying to create our own system. The structure is already there. So we're teaching them that structure, that competency, that knowledge. And then we have the cathedral. We've laid the bricks, we built that skill, we've built that structure with the wall, and now we're going to build that team. We have that significance. That cathedral is huge, it's beautiful. When we look at these coaches, each person that we work with has the opportunity of significance in growing Optivia's mission. This is so important and it makes it so exciting to work with other coaches. So when we're in this process, we teach them, take a deep breath, enjoy this process, and build your cathedral. And that's what I love about what we do as coaches. So let me stop my share. And back to you, Michelle.
Awesome, Sabrina. For your first bootcamp, girl, you absolutely killed it. So that was awesome. So awesome. Well, cool, guys. So, kind of overlaying what we've gone through, going over the importance of why we want to start off a coach, going through the system and the structure and helping them learn how to dream. I really want to take it back to you guys, as each one of us individually, where are we? I know it's easy that, we say we want our coaches to dream, but have you stopped dreaming? You know, are you still consistently making those goals for yourself and those dreams for yourself? You know, so I really challenge all of you that, you know, maybe if you haven't this month, is build another structural tension chart. You know, where are you right now? Where do you want to be? You know, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations in coaching? And build out those action plans of what you want. You know, it's easy for us to talk to you about, starting off coaches, and this is what we're going to do with coaches. But your mindset has to be there to want to sponsor coaches. So if the mindset is there, you're going to develop that skill set and then really getting into action to do it. You know, it's all about the mindset. If your mindset is there, it is easy to get into action and go after it. But you really want to shift that mindset to want it. So really starts with you, with your dreams, with your goals, with what you want out of this. You know, and really, you know, a lot of us have that fear that, you know, we don't know how to start up coaches. I don't know if I want to start up coaches. Well, if you really want to succeed in this, that is what you have to do, is you have to sponsor and bring in other people to join our mission that want to help other people. You know, I've had a few people reach out and message, you know, myself and say, you know, what is the secret? You know, how did you get to presidential in 2 years? I'll tell you the secret. It's the action. That's it. We wanted it. It was part of our goals. We literally every single month, you know, Josh and I sit down and we go over new goals. Okay, what do we want in our business this month? And we get into action. You know, we know that sponsoring is where it's going to take us to where we want to go and the life that we want to live. And so that is the reason that, you know, it's helped us, is we get in action. We have no fear about reaching out to people, and you know how much it's blessed our lives. And maybe you're still a brand new coach and maybe you haven't seen the blessings that, you know, coaching has to offer yet, but you know, it's really about knowing what it is that you want, what your mind wants, what your family wants, what, you know, the goals that you have for your life. And it's really about putting that into action and going out there and just inviting every single person. Like, there is no shame in my game. I go out and I literally share coaching to every single individual that I know. If they say no, they say no, no big deal. We know that they're going to come eventually. You know, it's just a matter of when, but there are those people that want a bigger life, and it starts with you going out there and looking for them and inviting them to explore the opportunity. And if they say no, it's okay. You know, just know that it's okay. So really, let's go ahead and end it with some action steps. Go back to share my screen. There we go. Hold on. Uh-oh. Let me see. Give me 1 second, guys. Sometimes it doesn't. There we go. Week 6 action steps. Okay, guys. So if you have not already, which I hope that we all have, fill out your map completely and schedule that time. That goes hand in hand with like building a structural tension chart. This is going to be your visual for what you're going to want to complete this month, the people that you want to talk to, your goals at the top, what you want to see in your business in the next couple of weeks until the end of September. It starts with your map. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and schedule that like ASAP. And even, you know, in the middle of the month on the 15th, schedule a mid-month map to see what you have completed so far and what you have left to go by the end of the month. These are super important. If you're a brand new coach, you have not been introduced to this, and that's okay. You will when you hit senior coach. But for those that are senior coach and above, this is a #1 tool that you want to complete. Stay consistent with your 3, 3, and 3, or better yet, 5, 5, and 5 to keep building that funnel of clients, you guys. Continue with the postings and continue with, you know, getting in contact with people and starting those conversations. Remember, this is what really is that powerful tool to build your business. I always say our business came from like 85%, actually I'd say probably 90% social media, is interacting with people through social media, showing people, branding myself as a health coach and what I do and what I offer, which is hope, onto whoever wants it. And so that is going to be important. So keep that up. Don't give that up. If you have big dreams this month and you want to get somewhere, you want to make a certain amount of money, or you want to help a certain amount of people, exceed it to 5, 5, 5. Do a 10, 10, and 10. I know Jamil did that before. 10, 10, and 10. Do whatever it takes to really get that accomplished. So last week we had you start a list of 75 names of potential coaches, names of potential coaches. I encourage you to add 25 new names to that. But don't just add the names and just let it sit there on a list that you just keep looking at, but you don't do anything with it. Approach 7 people this week to do a Coach Explore call. That's 1 a day. That's nothing. That's literally nothing. It's 1 a day. But out of those 7 people, schedule 3 of those calls, and that's just a low number. If you can schedule all 7 of these calls, do it. Obviously we want to, bring on as many coaching partners as we can to really help with the mission of spreading this, all over the place. So, and then one thing that's really powerful, and I know maybe a lot of people don't do it, is celebration calls. Schedule a celebration call a day with your support team. Maybe you have a ton of brand new clients that you have not integrated yet, that you have not gotten on a celebrated call yet, or you've gotten on a tip call yet. So I challenge you and I encourage you to get them on those celebration calls, because the number one thing that we do is we really want to integrate clients. When we integrate clients, those integrated clients turn into coaches. So you really have to plug them into the system. And, even if they've been on for maybe like 3 months and you haven't celebrated yet, find a reason to celebrate. Maybe they're still on plan. They're doing amazing. They told you that they had to go buy a new wardrobe. That's a reason to celebrate. Maybe they had to, have a new hole in their belt loop. That's something to celebrate. So get them on a call and try and schedule, a celebration call a day. If you don't have many clients, that's okay. Try and schedule as many as you can, because that's where the integration comes from, is through tip calls. It's through celebration calls. It's through calls to celebrate someone and introduce the opportunity of coaching. So I encourage all of you guys to do all of these. It's really going to help you build your business, because, like the magic formula is, mindset, skill set, action equals success. So lastly, I want to end this with, I know this is supposed to be our last day as far as it's week 6 or 6-week boot camp, but we are actually going to extend it 1 more week. We are going to go to week 7, and next week it's going to be great, because now that we're bringing on coaches and we've gone through the system of, starting them off strong, now we want to learn how to turn them into senior coaches and learning to love the process when you become good at it too. So let's definitely, go out there, get those action steps done, and we will see you all next week during our week 7 Breakthrough Bootcamp. Have a great rest of your day, you guys.